Hello, my name is Jack Justice. This is my lesson for reflection. My mentor teacher is Mrs. Bales. My grade level is third grade. My book that I looked at for this lesson with my students is Pearl and Wagner. The number of students in this group was three. The targeted skills include fluency, prosody, comprehension, and vocabulary. One strength I witnessed during my lesson was implementing an introduction to new vocabulary words at the start of the lesson. Last field experience, I did not introduce the vocab words prior to reading the text, and it caused students to be confused when stumbling upon them in the reading. Doing an interactive activity with matching vocab words and their meanings at the beginning of the lesson allowed students to understand them before reading the text. Upon reading them in the text, students were able to clearly understand the context of how it was being utilized. Another strength for my lesson this week was utilizing stronger critical thinking questions. In previous lessons, I constructed questions that ended with short, brief responses, not providing students with an opportunity to deeply engage and critically think. In this week's lesson, I designed questions that allowed students to think deeply and make connections between the text and their own lived experiences. This helped me boost my student engagement and understanding during the lesson. One weakness I noticed after the completion of my lesson is the lack of connection between students and the new learning concepts from the text. In prior lessons, I utilized analogies to help paint a better picture in my students' minds. In this lesson, I had trouble finding analogies that my students could resonate with. I believe this caused students to have a more difficult time understanding the difficult words and the text. One change I would make is making my lessons more accessible to my students. In my field experience, there are various levels of ability in my class. In my future lessons, I want to make sure to implement multiple means of representation and engagement. This allows for my students to have access to the material in a learning style that fits their needs, as well as making sure each and every student sees themselves reflected in the curriculum.